Hello, everybody, and welcome to another vidcast. Brother Dave here, and I thank you for watching. And today I want to go over 3 primary examples of righteousness, of righteous people, not from my point of view, but from God's point of view. Now, God has asked us to live holy, have asked us to live righteously, have asked us to live perfectly. And in this sin and dark-filled world, it seems impossible. And we all say that, and there's no dispute, even a sinner will tell you that Christ was perfect. There's no dispute in that. And regardless of what anybody else wants to tell you, the Bible tells us, a saint will tell you and a sinner will tell you that Christ was perfect. And there's no disputing that. And what I want to go over are 3 other people that are perfect. Now, you can be perfect too. That are righteous, and you can be too. And that were holy, you can be too. And I want to go over 3 of them that God makes mention specifically in the book of Ezekiel here. All right? And so we're going to go to Ezekiel chapter 14, verse 14. I will also keep it on the side of the video if you want to follow along. And it says, though these 3 men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they should be delivered, but their own souls by their righteousness, saith the Lord God. Now we're going to use also verse 18 and verse 20, so I could reiterate something here. Now, what makes these 3 a little bit more prevalent to be used here is when you read verse 18, you'll see what God is saying again, that though these 3 men were in it, as I live, saith the Lord God, they shall deliver neither sons nor daughters, but they only shall be delivered themselves. What these 3 men are really known for are people who were righteous, because at this time, a person could perform a sacrifice for another person. And, we all know that Job was known for this, for sure. And Noah and Daniel was also, but Job is a little bit more prevalent that comes to mind. And, he would go to the temple. He would perform a sacrifice for himself so he could remain righteous. But then he knew that his children were doing wickedly, so he would do a sacrifice for them, and God would recognize that. And in this case here for Ezekiel, when you go on and read, you'll find out how horrid Israel have been with God. I mean, they've done so much iniquity. It's just unbelievable. And God was really fed up with what they were doing, and he was ready to strike anything and everything down because of it. And to the point of, even if Noah, Job, or Daniel were alive, because they're known to provide sacrifices to stave God's anger, to take God's anger and say, okay, God, put the anger over here so that nobody's hurt, right? Because I know that they're wicked, but let's just put it over here for now, because, when God's wrath comes upon us, you can pretty much forget it. What God is saying here, their righteousness is great, but it's not going to save them. It's not going to save their sons or daughters. It's not going to save their friends or family, because their friends and family are the ones committing this heinous crime. And if Job, Daniel, and Noah were alive right now, they couldn't do a sacrifice to save them. And but their righteousness in other words, their righteousness would save them from whatever destruction that God was going to send out, but they couldn't do a sacrifice to save these, their friends and family because of their iniquity. And so what I really want to point out is two things. Our righteousness has to be very prevalent. God have said, also, when you read later on into the book, or into the book of Ezekiel, which is a fantastic book, by the way, he will tell you that even though you were righteous, and if you commit any iniquity, if you committed any sin, then all the righteousness that you have accumulated, that you have performed in the past, all of that would be forgotten because of iniquity. Now, the thing to do is to obviously get yourself right in the eyesight of God, because where iniquity abounds, people perish. And the last thing you want to do is perish. Okay? So keep this in mind. There are three people who are righteous before the eyesight of God, and God wanted to recognize those three men. And again, take notice here, though. If they were alive as I'm alive, if they were in it, and if they were in this world as I'm alive, he's not stating that they're dead at all. So take notice of that. So they're alive, they're just not here in the land of this living. They're in the land of another living, which is what we want to aspire towards. Okay? I hope you found this little passage interesting. And if you want to hear more, just keep tuning in. Come to the Banner of Truth if you're not already there, or thebanneroftruth.com. While there, post a comment below. Submit to the contact form another comment, a question. Submit a prayer request. I will be sure to pray for you. If you have a testimony that you would like me to share, please share it, and I will share it with everybody. And I would love to hear what the Lord has done for you, and I'm pretty sure everybody wants to hear it too, and we will all rejoice together. Until the next time, God bless.